Right. What are we talking about?
It'll be the biggest tax cut since Reagan and probably bigger than Reagan.
Do you think President Obama wants you to succeed?
Well, you know, he's been very nice to me personally, but his people haven't been nice.
If you had to fire one person right now, who would you fire? Our exclusive sit-down with President Trump. Plus, on the back of the plane, fake news. Air Force One will never be the same as Waters World takes to the sky with the Commander-in-Chief. And it's hard to remember when you're up to your armpits in alligators that you came here to drain the swamp. A Waters World pop quiz at the Reagan Ranch. It all begins right now. Welcome to Waters World. I'm Jesse Waters. An exclusive tonight, my sit-down with President Trump, both on the road and in the air aboard Air Force One. Waters World was with the president as he explained this week's pushback on his plan to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Just remember this. If we submitted the Democrats' plan, drawn everything perfect for the Democrats, we wouldn't get one vote from the Democrats. That's the way it is. That's how much divisiveness and other things there are. So it's a problem. But we're going to get it by.
Moments before that speech, we sat down backstage in Nashville. Take a look. President Trump, welcome back to Waters World. How does it feel?
It feels great, and it feels great to be with you, and you've been so nice, and thank you.
Oh, well, flattery will get you everywhere. Now, the last time I spoke to you, I presented a signed photograph of myself at Trump Tower. Have you hung it on your wall yet?
Oh, absolutely, right on that wall.
That's fake news. I don't believe it.
That was fake news.
Obamacare repeal could be President Trump's deal. Are you going to close it?
Well, I think it's going to be never easy. You know, healthcare is a very complex subject. I've been saying that for a long time now. People are agreeing with me. They understand. And not complex for the ordinary reason, Jesse. It's complex because you take this group and you make them happy and they become unhappy. Now you make them happy and they become... So it's back and forth. The answer is yes, we're going to get something done. I think it's going to be terrific, and it's going to be so much better than Obamacare, which really doesn't exist.
Right.
Because if you allow it to exist for another year, it's going to implode. And, you know, I've been saying for a long time, just walk away for 1 year. They'll come back, the Democrats, who, if you gave them a Democrat bill to approve, they wouldn't approve it. Right. They wouldn't give you one vote. It's really a bad situation out there. So, and it's been that way for years, not just now. It's been that way for years. But if I put together a perfect Democrat bill on health care or anything else for them to sign, you wouldn't get one vote. It's a pretty bad deal.
People like Senator Rand Paul, who you ridiculed during the debates, could mess this thing up.
Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls, and how he got up here, there's far too many people. Anyway, I like him. He's become a friend of mine. It's hard to believe I ridiculed, because he's a good guy.
Okay.
And he means well, and I think ultimately we're going to all come together.
It's going to get done.
We want something done, and also we want to start on the taxes. We're going to cut everybody's taxes, including business taxes, the middle income taxes. Everything's going to be cut.
Income
I
taxes.
can't do that until we get this done.
The income tax rate, what are we talking about? What would you like to see the top rate be?
Well, we're going to get a big reduction. We're going to bring business down to 15 to 20% from 36 and 38 and even higher than in certain instances. We're the highest taxed nation in the world. We're going to bring taxes way down. And for middle income, we're also getting rid of brackets. We're going from 7 to 3 or 4 brackets. And that will be such a pleasure.
What would you like to see the brackets look like?
Well, I'd like to see 0 if you don't make much, like 0, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be 0 up to a level.
Okay.
And then it's going to be 12.5%, 15%. It's going to be 10%. We're working on the different numbers, but it's going to be much lower than it is right now. It'll be the biggest tax cut since Reagan, and probably bigger than Reagan.
Very good, because I need the money.
We have to get this good. But before you are in that high bracket, I hope. I hope right now you're in the high bracket.
Yeah. Well, we saw some of your returns. These people over at NBC News doing everything they can to take you down.
What I have here is a copy of Donald Trump's tax returns. We have his federal tax return for 1 year for 2005.
I thought you leaked those returns yourself. It made you look good. You had made $135 million and paid a lot of dough to Uncle Sam.
You know, they're bad people. There's something wrong with them. They leaked them. It's illegal. to do what they did. I think, I always heard that a tax return was a very sacred kind of a thing. You don't leak them. You're not allowed to. It's criminally offensive. But they put them out, and I think it was, they're good from that standpoint.
Right.
My tax returns are good. All of my tax returns are good.
Yeah.
But
are you going after these leakers hard?
I'm thinking about it. We're looking at it, but it's terrible what's going on in Washington. We have a certain establishment out there that's leaking, and if it gets down to other things even more important than that, but a tax return's a very important thing, and you're not supposed to be leaking them, and they do.
Right.
Which is, they just don't respect the law, and we have to change that.
Right. The anti-Trump resistance, it's out there in the streets. Some of it's in the federal government. How much do you think is that genuine anger, and how much do you think that's someone like President Obama pulling the strings from behind the scenes?
It might be everything. There's some anger, and there's great love on our side. Look at the crowds outside.
Huge.
We have crowds. We have Senator Lamar Alexander. We have Senator Corker. We have the governor of the state, governor of Tennessee, great guy, and they say they've never seen crowds like that ever. They've been here a long time. They've never seen anything like it, for the country stars, for anything. And that's love. We have great love. That's how we won.
You have a lot of love on your side, and then there's also people burning things in the street. Do you think President Obama wants you to succeed?
Well, he's been very nice to me personally, but his people haven't been nice. And there's great animosity out there. There's great anger. Leaking is just one example of it. In some cases, a very serious example of it. But leaking and the level of anger is hard to believe. So while he's nice personally, there doesn't seem to be a lot of nice things happening behind the scenes, and that's unfortunate.
The media, pretty vicious, not just to you, but to your family. How do you process that?
You just have to go on. We've done a great job in terms of manufacturing, in terms of the market, in terms of business optimism. I don't know if you saw, optimism's up the highest in 15 years, and much more than that it'll turn out to be. Things are just going really well for the country. You look at the border, down now 61% since the inauguration.
Wow.
Stock market's up 15%, almost 16% since the inauguration. Over $3 trillion of value has been created. Many jobs have been created. We're really, look, I inherited a mess, okay? The Middle East was a mess. People wanting to get jobs is a mess, despite the numbers. You hear numbers, but you have millions of people out there that want to get jobs. They can't get jobs because we don't have good jobs. But they're coming back. Ford is coming back. General Motors is coming back. Fiat Chrysler is coming back. We just had a big meeting in Detroit with the car manufacturers, and it was unbelievable what's going to be happening. So ultimately, that's the thing that talks. And as you probably saw the polls that came out today, I'm at my all-time high for this. So we'll just keep going.
You're still paying attention to the polls,
I do.
you?
I pay. The only ones I guess I shouldn't have paid attention to were the exit polls during Election Day,
Right.
because I was saying, boy, I think I'm doing better than that, and it turned out that we did.
Very good. Let's do a Waters World quiz.
Okay.
Don't be nervous.
Okay, I won't, I promise.
That quiz and the rest of my exclusive interview with Donald Trump coming up later in the show. Plus, meltdowns of the week. Wait till you see this one.
You're saying all of that doesn't matter. Their investigation is absolutely not true.
When the
Michael
facts
Brown
of
did
this
not
case
reach
come out,
into that
when the
car
facts of
to
this case,
grab his
excuse
gun.
me, miss, can I speak now?
You see this guy? He's insane. Last time I spoke to you, I presented a signed photograph of myself at Trump Tower. Have you hung it on your wall yet?
Oh, absolutely, right on that wall.
That's fake news. That was President Trump laughing in my interview. So what else stood out? Joining me now, the Hill.com media reporter Joe Concha. I don't think the president has ever laughed in an interview like this. That might be a first.
That was the first LOL moment I've ever seen. He'll grin, right? But I've never actually seen him laugh before. That's a first.
Well, thank you very much. What stood out to you from the interview?
The economic part that you talked about. Too much with Trump when folks interview him. It always reflexes towards the negative and the sensational stuff. What got him elected was Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio is an economic message. We're going to keep jobs here. We're going to keep companies from leaving. But when he talks about a tax cut, bigger than Reagan, 15%.
As the top rate. I actually think we have that soundbite. Roll that.
It would be the biggest tax cut since Reagan, and probably bigger than Reagan.
So, I mean, that's massive, because right now I think the top rate's around 39%. That's what you're paying, right?
Yes.
Top rate, 39?
Yeah, I'm in that top bracket.
So, going down from 39 to 15, I mean, wow. I don't know if people are even going to get on board Republicans I'm talking about here. You think they will?
Do I think the Republicans will get on board with that?
15% top rate?
I think that Donald Trump is a negotiator, and he starts at one point to end up at another, just like you do with a car salesman, right? So that's his starting point. Even if he get close to that, that's still as big as Reagan or bigger. That's all that matters.
You're exactly right. That's how the guy negotiates. Also interesting, jumping off of what you just said, he does pivot to economics. He kind of discussed the Obamacare repeal deal and the resistance, but then quickly moved to the tax cuts. And then when I asked him about personal attacks, about his family, how he processes that, he kind of says, you know, it rolls off my back, and then let's talk about consumer confidence. Let's talk about the wall. Let's talk about the stock market. And I think those are the things he's going to be based on, his performance, not this other stuff you see in the tabloids.
The old saying is never answer the question you were asked,
right.
Answer the question you wanted asked. And he's learning how to pivot to things that are positive for him. And that is economic message. That is stock market performance. That is, as he mentioned, border crossings being down something like 61% is what he cited. So he does that. That's a good thing. And you guys have some good chemistry, by the way. And I think I know why.
Why is that?
You shared a story with me when I was filling in at Sirius XM, an interview.
Yes.
And you both have this odd commonality. And that is that you both proposed to your current wives standing up and not going to a knee. And I find that very, very interesting.
You know, thank you so much for bringing that back up. I was going to try to move past that. But you're right. The first interview, I asked him, you know, how did you propose to Melania? Did you get down on one knee? He said, it was the hardest number I've ever had to get. It took me weeks. And he said he did not get down on one knee, and I did not also. And I am regretting it every single day. But I think I did get down on the knee on the anniversary and made up for it. So there you go.
All right, so no couch for you tonight.
No couch for me tonight. Let me ask you something about this. When he comes into the room, and this is just some behind the scenes, and you saw this in the cold open at the top of the show, you know, he does the big handshake, grabs you in, pulls you in, says hi to everybody in the room, really owns it. I think one of the reasons this guy got elected is just the sheer force of his personality is so strong and overwhelming, it's kind of hard not to be drawn in by the guy.
That's what's going to have to work here when it comes to, say, replacing Obamacare, for instance. When he called, another thing stood out to me. Rand Paul is a good friend. And you said, this is the guy that you mocked.
Yeah.
He needs a Rand Paul in that section of the Republican Party, that wing, in order to get this stuff passed. So it's going to be, in the end, his ability to persuade and his personality that wins out here.
He did not take the bait and mock Ron Paul's hair, and he pivoted pretty effectively. I'm very proud of that.
I think the hair is tremendous, by the way.
Thank you very much, Joe. Up next, the Snoop Dogg family threatening to assassinate and pimp out. With me to discuss them is Tomi Lahren, host of Tommy on the Blaze. Let's start with this filmmaker who did a documentary on Michael Brown, the black teenager who was shot by a cop and sparked the Hands Up, Don't Shoot movement. Cue the meltdown.
You're saying all of that doesn't matter. Their investigation is absolutely not true.
When
Michael Brown did not reach into that car to grab his gun.
Excuse me, miss. Can I speak now? When the facts of this case come out in my film, Stranger Fruit, the real facts of this case, the facts of this case that Bob McCullough doesn't want us talking about, like the fact that Michael Brown was shot in the head and a bullet came out of his eye. Do you know how that would happen? When your head is down and there's a bullet in the ground. In their report, there's a bullet in the ground by Michael Brown's head. Now, how would a bullet go through here, out of his eye, and then get stuck in the ground?
What I know is that there were 3 different forensic investigations that were done that showed that he was shot in the front.
They failed him.
Everyone in the country was told this narrative that he was shot in the back. That he had his hands up and said, "Don't shoot,"
which was all discounted by 40. You know how many black men are in jail right now? You know how many black men are in jail right now for nothing? Because the Department of Justice failed them? You know how many black men are in jail right now? Don't tell me because they closed the book on it. We're okay.
Wow. Oh, my God. Tommy, first of all, that was ridiculous, and Martha handled that beautifully, I thought. What was this guy on TV for to begin with? What's he selling?
Well, he had a documentary that actually debuted at South by Southwest, and in the documentary he's trying to say that because Michael Brown, apparently the night before, from a surveillance video that hadn't been released, that he was in that store the night before at 1 a.m. and he was trying to sell drugs or make a drug exchange, so somehow the next day before his encounter with Darren Wilson, because he tried to sell drugs the night before, maybe he's just a drug dealer, not a robber. I mean, that was the whole point of this documentary, saying, no, he might be a drug dealer as well, and maybe not a robber, but maybe so, and then the store owners are still denying it. So really, it's just a clear case of instability on that guy's part.
Very unstable guy right there. And then to say that he was shot in the head, I think Martha said, this guy's 3 forensic teams looked at it, shot in the body. I mean, I don't know what this guy's deal is. Next up, we have Snoop Dogg. Oh. Snoop Lion, Snoop Doggy Dog. I don't know.
It's dog again now.
Is it dog now? He went back to dog. And he has a music video, and basically looks like he's assassinating a president. And I think his cousin or his son or something like that came out and said this on Twitter. Hey, yo, Donald Trump, shut your punk ass up talking this about my Uncle Snoop Dogg before we pimp your wife and make her work for us. So Snoop's out there shooting the president, and then his nephew's out there saying he wants to pimp out the First Lady. What's going on in the Snoop Dogg family, do you think?
Well, can you imagine if that were President Obama that was being, whether it's supposed to be artistic or what have you, can you imagine if that was a President Obama clown?
Yeah.
I mean, there would be an uproar, and I think President Trump actually said that.
He did.
Again, I'm wondering where all the celebrities are. Where's Ashton Kutcher? I mean, didn't he testify before Congress about, sex trafficking and human trafficking?
Yeah.
But now other members of the Hollywood elite think that it's okay to make jokes about sex slavery with the First Lady.
I mean, the things that have been said about this family, from Barron Trump to Melania to Ivanka and then the brothers, I mean, it is just unbelievably vicious, the amount of animosity and hatred directed their way. Now, Whoopi Goldberg, your friend, you were just on The View, weren't you?
She was gone yesterday.
Oh.
She wasn't there.
She probably boycotted because she knew she was coming on.
She might have actually moved because she was going to move if President Trump was elected. So she may have just been leaving the country.
Do you think she's on her way to Canada?
I don't know. I mean, that's just hearsay coming from my mouth and no one else's. But she wasn't there yesterday.
That could be fake news. And she was upset about a little bit of fake news. Someone wrote something about maybe what she was saying about the woman who President Trump brought to the State of the Union, and she freaked out. Let's look at this.
Something came out on a website, a fake news website, about me. And it endangered my family's life, and it endangered my life. He accused me of saying that the woman that was celebrated by the current president, whose husband died, was doing it for the attention. If I hadn't been made aware of this, I could have found out about this at the end of a barrel of a gun. Sir, the fact that you don't give a crap that it endangered me is unconscionable. And I'm going to get my lawyer, and I'm coming for you.
So Whoopi's upset about a no-name blogger for endangering her life. Then you have Snoop Dogg a day ago pulling a trigger against President Obama. She hasn't said anything about that, I don't think.
No, it's okay, but they only care, liberals tend to only care when it's being directed towards them, and then everything changes. I mean, life is completely in reverse when they're suddenly the target of fake news. She's very upset about it. I mean, rightly so, but I would just like to see some of that outrage maybe directed at Bow Wow, Snoop, any number of the Hollywood elite.
That's true. I don't see that coming, and I also don't think her lawsuit against the blogger is going to go anywhere. But Tommy, thank you very much, okay?
Thanks for having me.
All right, more from President Trump, and hop aboard Air Force One. Playing fake news. President Trump, where we talked health care, cutting taxes, and his war with the media. But even he can't escape a Water's World quiz. Take a look. Let's do a Water's World quiz.
Okay.
Don't be nervous.
Okay, I won't. I
think you'll do just fine. Chuck Schumer, the president of CNN, and Alec Baldwin. If you had to fire one person right now, who would you fire?
Well, I think the Alec Baldwin situation is not good. Chuck, I'm very disappointed because he's a guy that should make deals for the people, not as Democrat or Republican. I thought he'd be a deal maker, and instead he's just an obstructionist, so I'm disappointed in him. And Jeff Zucker, I mean, I got him the job. I recommended him, and I didn't recommend, I got him the job. And CNN is just, you know, fake news. Who would I say? I don't want to say, but I will say I'm disappointed in all three. I think the portrayal of me is ridiculous.
Hi, Steve, you look rested.
Thank you.
Next question. What is going to be done first, building the wall or defeating ISIS?
Well, you see we're doing very well in the Middle East over the last 4 weeks. That's another thing. I mean, we're not playing games anymore, and we're letting the generals and the captains and the majors and the people on the ground that graduated from West Point and Annapolis, and they graduated from the Air Force Academy, and they're out there doing their thing. But I think the wall is going to start very soon. We had almost 200 bidders to build the wall. We have great pricing coming in. We have some great designs coming in. I think the wall's going to start very soon.
Are you going to pick the design for the wall?
I'll be very much involved. General Kelly's done a fantastic job. When it comes to design, I'm very good at that stuff. And building on time, on budget, that's what I do.
Okay. Let me know when they break ground. I might be down there with a shovel.
Good. Maybe I'll be down there with you.
Okay. The lightning round. This is the last part. I'm going to name a name, and then you give 1 or 2 words to describe that person, okay? Kellyanne Conway.
A very nice woman.
Hillary Clinton.
Disappointed.
Mark Cuban.
Backed me all the way, but when I wouldn't return his phone calls, he went the other way, picked the wrong horse.
Yes, he did. Vladimir Putin.
Don't know him, but certainly he is a tough cookie, and I don't know how he's doing for Russia. We're going to find out one day, I guess.
Elizabeth Warren.
I think she'd lose so badly. I think she hurt, honestly. I think she hurt Hillary Clinton very badly.
Why?
I watched those speeches, the anger, the hatred in her heart, and I said, you know, she's really bad for Hillary. I watched that last couple of weeks where she was getting up with that craziness and that anger.
I got news for you, Donald Trump. Women have had it with guys like you. And nasty women have really had it with guys like you.
Pocahontas would not be proud of her as her representative, believe me.
I think she's probably going to run against you, Elizabeth Warren.
I hope so. What do I hope so? That would be a dream come true.
Snoop Dogg.
Look, I think that was terrible, because not because of me. I think it's terrible to do that to any president, any person. I think it was pretty low life. His career is failing, and he's getting a lot of publicity on it. But I think it was a terrible thing to do, personally.
Bill O'Reilly.
Great guy. Nobody would know that. Nobody would understand it. And don't kid yourself, he's a talented guy.
I believe that. Last one, Jesse Waters.
Tremendous future, tremendous potential, should be making good money. Your agent should be very happy, and I enjoy your show. And honestly, you've been so nice to me that this is why I turned on the biggest shows on television, and here I am. It's Waters' World.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jesse. Great
Appreciate
job.
it. So back here with me, Tomi Lahren and Joe Concha, buttering me up big time at the end there. What are you supposed to say to that?
I don't know. I would just smile and nod. Just give him old Miss America. There you go.
That's how I got to where I am, just smiling and nodding. What jumped out of you there? I hit a lot of personalities.
Likes the word failing. Snoop Dogg's failing. New York Times is failing. When he said the hatred in her heart with Elizabeth Warren, I think that he would love more than anything in the world, nothing more than anything in the world, than running against her in 2020.
That is setting up to be a humongous collision course, because she does not hold back, Elizabeth Warren.
No, she's a nasty woman.
She's a nasty woman. Pocahontas and President Trump, mano a mano. What do you think? I mean, there's going to be a lot of Indian analogies in that race.
If you thought it couldn't get better than Hillary, I can't wait to see the debates. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but the debates between Elizabeth Warren and Donald Trump, oh boy.
I'd love to see the media coverage with Elizabeth Warren. I finally want to see some scrutiny around the Pocahontas charge. Did she really lie about her heritage to get
She said
into
she didn't
college?
know, I believe.
That's
she didn't know.
Yes, we're going to get to the bottom of that, and let's try not to talk about 2020. Okay, following Wednesday's interview, I was fortunate enough to get a behind-the-scenes look at life on the road for President Trump, speaking with his supporters, attending the Nashville rally, and even hitching a ride aboard Air Force One. Check it out. All right, what do you want to hear from the president today?
anything, everything, because everything he says is going to be good.
How excited are you right now?
I'm extremely excited. I'm even more excited to see you, Waters.
Any advice for President Trump?
I don't really know if I have any advice. I think he's doing great already.
No advice for him because he's doing a great job.
Make America great again.
Any advice for President Trump?
Keep working for the men that work with these.
Stay off of CNN. Stay on Twitter.
Do you think he needs to improve on anything, the president?
Yeah, healthcare. He needs to rewrite that Paul Ryan plan because, honestly, it's terrible. Straight up terrible.
Drain the swamp. They don't love you like we do, Trump.
If he does 50% of what he promised, he's got my vote again in 2020.
Except if I run. Who do you think the president's biggest enemy is right now?
Besides his own party?
The Rhinos.
The Republicans in name only? Like who?
Speaker Ryan's one of them. Mitch McConnell. Rand Paul, he looks like he might be starting a little dust up.
Who do you think the president's biggest enemy is right now?
Hillary Clinton.
The Democratic Party.
The media.
CNN, MSNBC, fake news. The media.
Not me, right?
No, Jesse, you're the best.
Is this so the protesters can't throw anything at your head?
You know, that was part of the strategy, actually.
What would you tell the protesters if you had an opportunity to talk to them?
Come on over here. We're having a great time.
Shut up.
Get a job.
Get used to it. It's going to be a long 8 years.
What do you think we should do with all of these protesters clogging up the streets?
Those protesters over there, they're not clogging up our streets. Those are snowflakes. They're melting as we're talking.
Thank you very much.
There's no place I'd rather be than with all of you here tonight, with the wonderful, hard-working citizens of our country. I would much rather spend time with you than any of the pundits, consultants, or special interests, certainly, or reporters from Washington, D.C.
I get aboard Air Force One, and I'm expecting to go back there and chit-chat with the president, and they come back and say he's in a meeting. I don't think it's going to happen, so we beg, we plead, and then they bring me into this meeting, and he's got Spicer in there, and he's watching Hannity, and he's got the Congresswoman, and then I do a little thing, he's like, all right, Waters, get the hell out of the meeting. So I go back, and I'm just trying not to steal stuff, because everything has the emblem emblazoned on it. I'm getting sticky fingers, stuffing everything in my pockets. And then eventually he comes back and talks to us off camera for a while, and then he goes, all right, Waters, now I'm going to go back and talk to the failing New York Times, and then goes to the back.
I have to ask you, though.
Yes.
You got on that flight because you said your flight was canceled. And I did a little research, and there was no really poor weather in the area that time of day when you were supposed to fly out. So is this a ruse?
Are you calling that fake news?
I'm calling that genius because you got to do something that 0.1% of people never get to do.
That's right, and I'll probably never be allowed back. Yeah, the food was actually good, Tommy. They have, I think that was grilled chicken over gnocchi or something like that. You look jealous that I was on board.
I'm very jealous. I just saw you eating. That looked fun. Did you eat it, though? Remember when he got so much flack for eating his KFC with a fork and a knife?
No, I did not do that.
You didn't do that, okay.
Football. I was going to present the president with a bucket of KFC chicken,
yes.
But I thought that was tacky, and they probably had better food on the plane. But, guys, thank you very much.
Yeah,
and, again, thank you for calling me out, Joe.
Do they have a bar on Air Force One?
You get anything you want to drink, but I did not participate. You know.
I would have got so
I would have been kicked out for sure. They would just open the hatch. All right, Waters Words takes on fake news of the week. For the fake news media, that is the subject of tonight's Waters Words. It began with Rachel Maddow over at MSNBC teasing a blockbuster scoop, but she whiffed. Breaking, we've got Trump tax returns. Tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, MSNBC. Seriously. So Americans dialed into her show and were met with a 20-minute monologue about God knows what. Until finally she showed just 2 pages of Donald Trump's tax returns from 12 years ago.
What I have here is a copy of Donald Trump's tax returns. We have his federal tax return for 1 year for 2005.
Now, I watched part of the show, and honestly, I don't even know what she was talking about. All it showed was that he paid $40 million in taxes, a rate of 25%. So that's the scoop. And by the way, that's a higher rate than Obama, Romney, and our good friend Bernie Sanders paid. Next, CNN's Dylan Byers claimed Fox News' Sean Hannity pulled a gun on colleague Juan Williams on the set of his show. Quote, Hannity pulled out a gun and pointed it directly at Williams, according to 3 sources with knowledge of the incident. He even turned on the laser sight, causing a red dot to bob around on Williams's body. But guess what? The story was fake news. Juan Williams said the entire thing was sensationalized, and he and Sean are great friends. Sean said he never pointed the gun at anyone, and the whole thing was false. But still, CNN has not issued a retraction. And that brings us to the good old New York Times, the paper of record, right? But the publication looks like it needs to start a fact-checking a little more thoroughly. Here's Trump's budget director, Mick Mulvaney, doing that job for them.
I'm going to call on the New York Times because they're in trouble. Apparently, is there where's my New York Times guy? Matt Flagenheimer and Alan Rappaport, okay, are in big trouble. I'll give you the first question, but you have to deliver this message to them. They printed this morning that I'm the father of 17-year-old triplet girls. My 17-year-old daughter really wishes that we're happy, or really wishes that had happened, but my 2 17-year-old sons are really upset. So if you could clarify that, that would be great.
So if they can't get something as simple as that right, imagine the bigger stuff that they get wrong that we don't even know about. It's the news that's fit to print. Sure it is. And that was just sloppy. The next thing is just a lie. Now, we all remember when leaked emails showed that CNN contributor and current DNC chair Donna Brazile leaked questions to Hillary Clinton before a town hall debate. I confronted her about that in the Vegas debate spin room. Ms. Brazile, did you really feed a debate question to Hillary?
You know, sir, I've heard a lot of lies in my life, and I keep hearing them every day.
So that wasn't you on the email?
Sir, first of all, there's no proof, and there will never be any proof that I've ever received